We're joined now by Jo Morgan, who is CEO of Engendering Change. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. What do you think of the guidance?
Well, I think you've summarised it brilliantly, and I couldn't agree more that, with what you're saying. It's such a shame. When RSE, Relationships and Sex Education, was made statutory in 2020, it was such an exciting time. And whilst the statutory content fell short of what I hoped it would deliver, nonetheless, it really showed a consensus in our society that this is important. We owe it to children to deliver this. And, it went through a huge process of consultation with religious groups, teachers, school leaders. And what they came up with really was a game changer in terms of ensuring that no child will go without this essential education. And I'm really, really saddened to see now that this is being compromised in the way that it is.
In terms of these kind of arbitrary cutoffs for ages, what do you think is the government's thinking behind implementing those? And what do you think some of the dangers could be?
I mean, I'd love to know what their thinking is. I mean, they've told us that this is what teachers want. I'm yet to see any evidence that that's the case. They've told us that children are being exposed to dangerous materials and age inappropriate content. We are yet to see the evidence of that. I mean, we saw Gillian Keegan talking very vaguely about some slides that she'd seen. Well, a slide from a lesson, if it even wasn't a lesson, and I think that's questionable, without context is absolutely ridiculous anyway, so that the whole perspective that this is coming from I would argue is not driven by evidence. Rather, this is about undermining the progress that has been made.
That's the thing. I don't think anybody is arguing that a review into RSHE and ongoing monitoring of how effective it is not a good thing. It's the fact that it seemed to have been written before they'd even looked at any evidence.
Yeah.
And what's come out is exactly what a lot of people feared would come out too. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of teachers who think that this is ultimately about shutting down any kind of conversation about trans and non-binary identities. What's your take on that?
That certainly seems to be part of the agenda here. I mean, the way that it's phrased within the guidance, or the draft guidance, I should say, I think it's important to point out that nothing has changed. The statutory content absolutely stands. This is in draft and it's up for consultation. But in that document, they say that schools, and this is at any age, it seems, should not teach about the broader concept of gender identity. And I found the word identity interesting because they haven't even used the word ideology. We shouldn't even be teaching about gender identity. They use phrases like contested beliefs and that we should be sticking to biological facts. None of this is clear whatsoever. They also rightly say that we should be teaching students about the Equality Act and the protected characteristic of gender reassignment. But they also kind of imply that under 18s aren't protected by the Act, when in fact we know that they are. The Equality Act makes it clear that anyone of any age proposing to undergo gender reassignment is protected by the Act. So, as you rightly said, teachers are going to be left more confused, less certain of what they can be doing. And that fear likely will mean that they will stop teaching really important content that young people are telling us they desperately need.
Now, you are my favourite RSHE voice. I'm a great admirer of your work. And the one silver lining of this guidance coming out is that it's brought forward the publishing of your much anticipated book. Do you want to tell us what the name of it is?
Yeah, so it's Empowering Relationships and Sex Education. And yes, it is a silver lining. I mean, it's been wonderful PR ahead of the release of the book, which now can be ordered from Routledge. So, that's nice. It's great. What I found as well is all of the interviews that I've had, it's just been a great opportunity to just speak sense. And I think that a lot of the moral hysteria around this, when you actually look at the evidence and what is really happening and why we're doing what we're doing, and actually the impact that the RSE can have on children. That, you know, it improves their ability to talk about sex and therefore seek help if they need it, buy contraception, go to a sexual health clinic. It means that they're more able to report sexual abuse if it happens. They can discuss and negotiate consent with their partner. You know, in every way, this works. And so it's been really satisfying to have the opportunity to make the case, have it heard. And actually, I haven't heard any counter arguments from anyone who's willing to sit down and listen and look at the evidence.
Jo Morgan, CEO of Engendering Change, there with the sense that is needed on this topic.